Welcome. As is the name of the podcast, we start with thinking about a problem or opportunity, which is the first episode for any topic. Then we build the product in the second episode, and on the third episode, we talk about how to scale a company using that product. We repeat the sequence of the nature of the episodes for all the topics that will be talked in this podcast. This is the first episode for the topic of a business around a surgical robot named AEGIS CV. AEGIS CV. What is it? How can somebody build it? How can somebody make a business out of it? We will talk all about that during this episode and the upcoming ones related to this very topic. And of course, this episode comes with a disclaimer, as you can see on your screen, that everything you shall hear today is solely my work and do not violate any NDAs I have signed. Surgical systems like Da Vinci surgical system or CorePath GRX, Hugo Ras, Major X, ROSA, these are the most advanced robotic platforms currently utilized in cardiovascular surgeries. You can actually Google them. I repeat again, Da Vinci surgical system, CorePath GRX, Hugo Ras, Major X, and ROSA. These are the big names for cardiovascular surgeries, and they each offer unique features tailored to specific procedures, enhancing surgical precision and patient outcomes. In addition to these, the Sensei robotic catheter system by Hansen Medical is noteworthy. Designed to enhance physicians' ability to perform complex operations using flexible catheters, Sensei robotic catheter system provides accurate positioning and stable control during cardiovascular procedures. It's particularly used for performing cardiac arrhythmia treatments. Furthermore, the field is witnessing the Da Vinci Z system. This minimally invasive approach involved smaller incisions, leading to quicker recovery times and reduced postoperative pain. Another notable development is the Symani surgical system by Medical Micro Instruments. And Symani is actually a groundbreaking advancement in the field of microsurgery. It features the world's smallest wristed robotic instruments, enabling surgeons to perform highly precise procedures on small anatomical structures, such as blood and lymphatic vessels. The system's tremor reducing and motion scaling technologies enhance surgical accuracy and control. The Da Vinci 5 is designed to really enable better outcomes and more efficient and actionable insights. But both Symani and the Da Vinci 5 systems are at the forefront of surgical robotics, and they each excel in their respective domains. So Symani is for microsurgery and Da Vinci 5 is for multi-surgery procedures. Therefore, labeling one as the most advanced over the other, it depends on what do you exactly want to do. Now, what do we do in this podcast? We try to think of an innovative design that is disruptive and that changes everything in the market, right? So last topic was our hydrogen automotives, and the topic before was a transmission electron microscope. So for today's topic, for the next 3 episodes, the topic is a surgical robot, and I want to think about the most advanced surgical robot there is in the market. So with all of the research that I have done so far, and I gave you a snippet of my research, I think that one of the best ways to produce the most advanced surgical robot in the market is, first of all, to figure out a specialty, and secondly, to combine the features of Symani and Da Vinci 5. So I present to you augmented endoscopic and general integrated surgery system called AEGIS. This is a next generation robotic surgical system that seamlessly integrates ultra precise microsurgery with high dexterity multi-specialty robotic procedures. Sounds quite elaborate, but I'm gonna simplify it in my next slides. All right. How is AEGIS beyond Symani and Da Vinci 5? I told you about various different topics, equipment that I have researched in the market that are available as advanced surgical robots, right? So Symani and Da Vinci have been in the forefront. How do you think the system that I am proposing in this podcast, AEGIS, is beyond Symani and Da Vinci? Well, there are around 8 points how I suggest that AEGIS can be beyond Symani and Da Vinci 5. Once again, if your startup wants to pair up and partner up with me in order to produce a system like AEGIS, or maybe even something better, more complex, yeah, please write to me and we can definitely work together. All right. So, how is AEGIS beyond Symani and Da Vinci 5? Number one reason would be dual modality surgical control. That is, microsurgery and multi specialty surgery systems combined together. So we need adaptive instrumentation that switches seamlessly between ultra-fine micro instruments like those found in Symani and larger high torque surgical tools like those found in Da Vinci based on the procedure that we will perform. And then we have the smart tool swapping. Robotic arms dynamically change instruments without the need for human intervention. The second point would be millimeter precision with AI stabilization, scale tremor elimination. That is very, very essential for surgeons because surgeons work long hours and they are humans after all. And tremor, a surgeon's hand is as steady as it can get. My hand is obviously not steady. A dentist's hand or a orthodontist's hand or a surgeon's hand is a very different hand altogether. They are trained to work long hours and they are trained to resist tremor and they are trained to keep a steady hand and keep calm under pressure. But human beings can only do so far, only do so much, right? So microscale tremor elimination is one of the things for which surgical robots are needed. And that's where dynamics and damping the dynamics of the system comes into play, which we will talk about in the second episode. Microscale tremor elimination. This is AEGIS. I'm proposing an AI driven active vibration cancellation system, and it achieves sub 10 micron precision in delicate procedures like vascular or nerve repair. Haptic feedback for surgeons. We need real time resistance and feedback so that it can simulate tissue textures and densities. Haptic feedback is extremely important for surgeons because they need to understand when to change the course of action. They need to understand how the tissues are responding, and based on those responses, the uh, the procedure has to be modified in some manner in real time when the surgery is really taking place. All right, number three for AEGIS, number 3 point of how to make a superior system would be 7+ degrees of freedom per arm. So beyond Da Vinci and Symani, if we want to go beyond that, we need more than 7 degrees of freedom per arm. Symani has limited degrees of movement, optimized for microsurgery only, while Da Vinci has 7 degrees of freedom per arm. AEGIS features hybrid robotic arms with 9 degrees of freedom, ultra fine articulation for micro work, and powerful torque for general surgeries. Ultra flexible snake like robotic arm attachment for endoscopic and laparoscopic techniques. In this episode, we will not talk that much about endoscopic and laparoscopic procedures. That is perhaps for the next time. AI powered, four would be AI powered autonomous assistance and enhanced surgery control. So, AI augmented autonomy, what is that? The system pre maps incisions and vascular paths using real time imaging and predicts the best robotic motions. It can also autonomously perform repetitive surgical steps under supervision. What is multi surgery collaboration? Two surgeons or multi-surgeon collaboration, you could also say. So two surgeons or an AI plus a human combination can operate in parallel with separate interfaces. And that is very essential because in general, when you look at a surgery room, it's generally either there is a primary surgeon and a secondary surgeon, or there are multiple surgeons working together. Number 5 is augmented reality overlap for in situ visualization. Holographic tissue mapping integrates high resolution and optical coherence tomography, we can also call it OCT, and then fluorescence imaging to create a real time 3D model of tissues, vessels, and nerves. Surgeons can see through tissue layers with AI guided surgical pathways. That's interesting, right? And then you will have AI assisted augmented vision. AI enhanced overlays help guide precise suturing, cutting, and tissue reconstruction. Number 6 would be 360-degree omnidirectional mobility, and this is beyond static or setups. So unlike Da Vinci, which is stationary, AEGIS has a modular mobile robotic platform. It's ceiling mounted. You can have it as a ceiling mounted version for a clutter-free OR, and then you have a self-navigating autonomous base for quick reconfiguration. And you should have adjustable bedside positioning for small operating rooms. Number 7 would be hybrid optical and haptic control for the next gen telesurgery. 5K ultra high definition camera system. Optical and infrared cameras provide multi layered visualization. Super resolution digital zoom with AI enhancement avoids the need for excessive scope movement. And then immersive force feedback gloves. Immersive force feedback gloves are those gloves that surgeons can wear, and these are AI powered gloves that replicate tissue resistance and pressure. They can be used for remote surgery with near zero latency. How do you achieve that? Well, quantum encryption. Quantum encrypted communication. I think we can talk about that a little bit later on in the second episode. We will talk a little bit more about these immersive force feedback gloves. Number 8 would be AI powered learning and surgeon skill augmentation. Surgical performance analytics. It tracks efficiency, hand stability, and decision making for self improvement. Personalized AI assistance. It learns a surgeon's unique style and predicts their next move for smoother operation. Let's look at this slide nicely, okay? So this slide compares the features of 3 different surgical robots: Symani, Da Vinci 5, and then our AEGIS system. Each row highlights a specific feature such as microsurgery capability or imaging and visualization, and then shows how each system performs in that area. Microsurgery capability. Symani is actually best suited for ultra fine precision tasks. Da Vinci 5 is not specialized for microsurgery. AEGIS, however, combines industry leading precision with AI stabilization, making it versatile for delicate procedures, but also for specialized procedures. Multi-surgery Symani is not designed for broad procedures. Da Vinci 5 excels in general and robotic assisted surgeries. AEGIS can handle a wide range of surgeries from microsurgery to orthopedic and cardiac procedures. Degrees of freedom. Symani offers 5 to 6 degrees of movement per arm. Da Vinci 5 offers 7 degrees of freedom per arm. AEGIS, that it's a hypothetical product, by the way. AEGIS features 9 degrees of freedom per arm, enhancing maneuverability and precision. Number 4 is tremor cancellation. Like I said before, surgeons have extremely steady hands, but they are still human. So tremor cancellation and tremor control is a very important aspect of any surgical robot out there. So both Symani and Da Vinci have good tremor cancellation, but AEGIS takes it further with AI enhanced precision below 10 microns. Imaging and visualization. Symani and Da Vinci offer good imaging capabilities, but AEGIS includes advanced 5K imaging and augmented reality overlays for detailed tissue mapping. Haptic feedback. Symani has minimal haptic feedback and Da Vinci offers moderate feedback. AEGIS features fully immersive force feedback gloves, enhancing the tactile experience for surgeons. Autonomous AI assistance. Symani lacks AI assistance, and Da Vinci 5 has minimal automation. AEGIS integrates AI assisted decision making and learning adaptation, making it smarter and more autonomous. Surgery ready. Mani has limited telesurgery capabilities. Vinci 5 is telesurgery capable. AEGIS goes beyond with next gen 5G quantum encryption and haptic gloves. Surgical mobility. Both Symani and Da Vinci 5 are fixed systems, whereas AEGIS offers a ceiling mounted and mobile robotic base, making it adaptable to different surgical environments. Overall, this slide presents AEGIS as a comprehensive and advanced solution, integrating the best features of Symani and Da Vinci while adding significant innovations in mechanical design as well as through AI, imaging, and mobility to set a new standard for robotic surgery. Once again, if you are an investor or if you are a startup willing to look at developing this product, you know who to contact. So this is actually what our podcast, 3 episodes of our podcast is going to be all about. It's going to be about a more specialized version of AEGIS, the AEGIS CV, which is the ultimate cardiovascular surgical robot, a next generation AI powered robotic system for ultra precise, minimally invasive, open heart cardiovascular procedures. If you want to specialize in a specific area of surgery, a more dedicated product like AEGIS CV needs to come to play. There are some key innovations specifically for cardiovascular surgery using AEGIS C. Number one is hybrid microsurgical and macrosurgical capability. Hybrid microsurgical and macrosurgical capability. So, ultra precise vascular microsurgery, sub 10 micron precision for coronary artery suturing, bypass grafting, and vessel repair. And then you have manually hand sewn anastomosis, reducing human error. Powerful multi specialty robotic arms. It can handle both open heart procedures and minimally invasive valve replacement with one system. Seamless transition between delicate microscale vascular work and robust heart manipulation. Number two would be AI enhanced coronary artery bypass grafting. Some people also call it CABG, 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 coronary artery bypass grafting. Automated AI powered vessel harvesting and grafting. It can autonomously harvest saphenous veins, radial arteries, or internal mammary arteries for grafting. And then you have AI assisted suturing, and it ensures optimal flow dynamics and minimizes graft failure risks. Smart graft patency prediction. It uses real time blood flow analysis and AI prediction models to assess graft success before finishing the surgery. AI guided valve surgery and replacement. Minimally invasive valve repair and replacement. So, robotic assisted transcatheter valve placement, like TAVR or TAVI is called, for robotic assisted transcatheter valve replacement for aortic valve replacements. And then you have AI enhanced robotic arms. They provide ultra precise leaflet resections and mitral valve repairs, and they could fall into the minimally invasive valve repair and replacement section for it. We also need real-time AI hemodynamic monitoring because we need to know how to predict valve replacement and how will this replacement impact blood flow, ensuring perfect valve placement and function. Number 4 would be revolutionary cardioplegia and myocardial protection. Autonomous cardioplegia control. AEGIS CV dynamically adjusts cooling and blood flow rates during open heart surgery to prevent myocardial ischemia. Smart beating heart surgery adaptation. Unlike traditional CABG that requires stopping the heart, AEGIS CV can perform grafting while the heart is still beating using advanced motion compensation. Number five would be your AI guided coronary and endovascular navigation. 3D AR overlay with AI vascular mapping. It creates real time digital twin of the patient's heart using CT, MRI, and intra op ultrasound. AI automatically highlights areas of concern, such as stenotic arteries or weak vessel walls. Fluorescence and optical coherence imaging. They detect microthrombi, unstable plaques, and hidden vascular weaknesses before intervention. Number six would be autonomous and AI powered suturing. Self correcting AI suturing. They learn a surgeon's technique and adjusts knot strength based on tissue elasticity and blood flow. And then you have ultra miniature instruments for neonatal and pediatric cardiac surgery, which allows for precise correction of congenital heart defects like tetralogy of Fallot or ventricular septal defects. Full spectrum telesurgery for cardiovascular procedures. Interesting, right? So you have, when I talked about these haptic gloves previously. So haptic glove assisted remote heart surgery. Surgeons can perform robotic assisted cabbage, CABG, from coronary artery bypass grafting. Once again, full spectrum telesurgery for cardiovascular procedures, haptic glove assisted remote heart surgery. Surgeons can perform robotic assisted cabbage, CABG, or coronary artery bypass grafting from remote locations using real time force feedback gloves. And then you have your G and quantum encrypted communication for telesurgery. They ensure latency free, highly secure robotic cardiovascular interventions. So, this is very helpful when one specialist or one specialists for certain procedures are extremely rare. Often what happens, hospitals, they fly some surgeons because of emergency procedures or high risk procedures. Surgeons are often flown from country to country or hospital to hospital. So these kind of technology where you have full spectrum telesurgery for cardiovascular procedures or any other procedure where you have these haptic glove assisted remote heart surgery, that helps a lot with reducing the time to travel and reducing the risks of the right surgeon not being there at the right time. So, yeah, the world is moving towards a very beautiful state. All we have to do in terms of medical innovation, all we have to do is join hands together. The world of medical devices is quite exclusive and startups often have a very difficult time in breaking into the world of medical devices, just like your automotive industry or just like your semiconductor industry. And new players it's very difficult to enter the market, but that is why my goal is to deliver the knowledge that is needed to enter into the market and to empower startups and empower scale ups and empower individuals to actually go and break into new markets that work with silos. Anyway, so definitely contact me if you want to build something like an AEGIS CV. Whatever information I'm setting out in front of you is only the peak of the iceberg. I can work endlessly into developing this and I can help you figure out the right suppliers, reduce the cost, and figure out an entire manufacturing facility for a cardiovascular surgical robot like this, like the AEGIS CV, or for neurosurgery or for any other surgical applications. Let's go towards a little bit of the market research. Every investor and every company wants to understand what market has research has been done on the market. Demand. The demand for minimally invasive surgical procedures continue to grow. The demand is driven by their benefits in reducing recovery time and the risk of infection. Cardiovascular disease remains a major global health issue, making advanced surgical interventions such as coronary artery bypass grafting and valve replacements increasingly vital. This trend can underscore a significant market for technologies that can enhance the precision and outcomes of such procedures. Competitive analysis. The main competitors in this space are the Symani and Da Vinci systems, because I did all the research on what are the most advanced surgeries out there, and then what are the most advanced surgical robots out there for those surgeries, and Simani and Da Vinci 5 continuously came up to be the top two. Symani is celebrated for its microsurgical capabilities, whereas Da Vinci is a leader in multi-specialty robotic procedures. AEGIS CV sets itself apart by combining the best of both worlds. It integrates microsurgical precision with the robustness necessary for complex cardiac surgeries. This makes AEGIS CV not only a direct competitor, but a potentially superior equipment in settings that demand both precision and versatility. Target market. The primary target market for AEGIS CV consists of high volume cardiac surgery centers across North America, Europe, and Asia. These centers are constantly seeking technological advancements that can provide better surgical precision and improved patient outcomes while also minimizing operational risks and recovery times. AEGIS CV, with its dual capabilities and advanced features, positions itself as an attractive option for these institutions. If you are a startup, how do you actually break into the market? That's what I was talking about earlier, that medical devices, semiconductors, any sort of high tech, high value capital equipment, these markets work with silos. As a newcomer, it's extremely difficult, not impossible, but difficult to break into the market. That's why you need good analysis of your market, of your overall customer and your market itself. Niche focus. You need to concentrate on specific gaps within the cardiovascular surgery market, such as hospitals that are pioneering robotic surgical programs. And then you have to think about your competitors, right? So research competitors like Intuitive Surgical's Da Vinci system and Simani surgical system. You can use their system, as we did here, to identify where AEGIS CV can improve upon. And that is what this 3 episode series is all about. How are we getting a competitive edge over Simani and Da Vinci? Customer insights. You have to engage with potential users at forums like the American College of Cardiology or through surveys conducted with members of the Society of Thoracic Surgeons, etc., etc. That is why most of the time the startups that are medical device oriented generally have at least one of the founders have a surgical background, generally, because the way to engage with potential users are actually through conferences and actually through societies, different niche groups that are being formed because of your profession. But it's not impossible to be position yourself as an innovative disruptor and conquer the market of cardiovascular surgeries. So if you can position yourself as position your with your unique capabilities as the AEGIS CV is providing, it would be very much helpful. What are the unique capabilities? Dual modality surgical control, and of course the AI enhancements on flexibility, customization, etc., etc. Targeting the first customer, I would also suggest looking for smaller organizations that are looking to enhance their brand in the field. You can offer a pilot installation at various institutions to create a proof of concept that can be showcased to other potential clients. Here as well, I would suggest going towards where the demand really exists. So if you want to offer a pilot installation and you really want to have really want to have a proof of concept on an early adopter, I would suggest go to a hospital that really needs it. I can give an example of countries like Bangladesh and Pakistan, where you can offer such pilot programs and see how it works for them. And then you can gradually adopt it towards other places in the world. But to be very honest, a lot of times what happens is that Western research organizations send it to certain underdeveloped countries to test out their product, but I would suggest not to do that. That is not the intent behind why I mentioned it. My intent was to develop a product properly and then send it as an early adopter, also to receive a proof of concept, because these hospitals are places that I mentioned are in need of new technology, and you as a startup or as a scale up are in need of customers. So all right, scale up and expanding and evolving. So if you look at market analysis in general, if you track your market trends, if you track evolving trends in robotic surgery and adapt to meet these changes, such as enhancements in AI diagnostics, you should be fine. And then you have your customer feedback. Please use feedback from early adopters to refine the product, focusing on key issues highlighted by surgeons at scale ups, existing clients like Texas Heart Institute, for instance. And then you have your expansion opportunities that could come when you're identifying new markets. Markets could be around Europe, around Asia, where robotic surgery is absolutely expanding. Strategizing position, transition from a disruptor to a recognized leader in surgical robots. I think that takes a while, but it's not unachievable. The first step is obviously to be a disruptor. Strategic partnership. Form partnerships with other medical technology companies like Medtronic or Philips, or co-marketing, or just look for co-marketing opportunities. Targeting your first customer. How do you do that? Your broader hospital networks like your HCA Healthcare in the US or NHS Foundation trusts in the UK, they can implement AEGIS CV across multiple facilities. And then you need to look at your value based propositions, so highlight the long term cost savings and improved patient outcomes to secure interests from cost conscious healthcare providers. At the beginning, nobody wants to work with you, but when you show that your product is working, that you are able to make an impact, it's easier from there on. There will still be changes, but it's easier. But honestly, it's true, like landing your first customer is the most difficult challenge, is the most difficult step. By identifying specific targets and leveraging unique advantages, whether you're a startup, a scale up, or an established organization, you can effectively conduct market analysis, strategically position yourself, and successfully engage with your first customers. The key is to align the product's strength with the needs and reputations of well known medical institutions and healthcare systems. This ensures a strong entry and sustainable growth in the market. There are some challenges in a sophisticated, disruptive, and new product like AEGIS CV. There are significant challenges when you enter into a market because it transforms the existing infrastructure. It challenges the operational paradigm of hospitals and research clinics. The integration of such an advanced surgical robotic system necessitates a comprehensive educational approach for the customer, addressing changes in informatics, patient handling, and surgical procedures. Infrastructure challenges. Well, you have hospital infrastructure. AEGIS CV requires specific spatial configurations and support systems. This includes high capacity power supplies and data connectivity solutions. Hospitals may need to renovate or redesign existing surgical suites to accommodate the new system, ensuring that there is enough space for the robotic arms to maneuver and for staff to operate efficiently around them. Technological integration. The system's advanced imaging and AI capabilities require integration with the hospital's existing IT infrastructure. This integration can be complex, involving substantial updates to ensure compatibility with electronic medical records. And then you have the real time data exchange and secure storage for sensitive patient information. So there's a lot to consider when you're introducing a new technology. So cut your customers some slack and cut yourself some slack, because you're essentially just disrupting years of infrastructure that has taken years and is still in a development stage. Infrastructure is always a continuous improvement, right? Well, one of the ways to work around this is to discuss with your customers, and that's what the semicon industry does as well, that you discuss with your customers on what existing infrastructure on their surgical rooms or their patient monitoring systems exist, so that your system and your device could be seamlessly integrated into their existing infrastructure. That is one way of doing things, I would say. Don't forget that if you have built a device like this, surgeons will need to be trained in your device. They will require extensive training, not only in the medical operation of AEGIS CV, but also in interpreting the enhanced imaging and data analytics it provides. This training must cover new techniques for minimally invasive procedures that may differ significantly from traditional methods. Nursing and technical staff also needs to be trained and is very crucial, because they need to understand the setup, the operation, and emergency procedures related to AEGIS CV. Their roles in preoperative preparation and post-operative care will also evolve, requiring new protocols to maximize the benefits of robotic surgery. Informatics education. IT and clinical informaticists will require detailed training on the new data systems integrated into AEGIS CV. This includes handling large volumes of surgical data, interfacing with AI analytics, and maintaining cybersecurity measures to protect patient data. Transforming patient handling and surgery, preoperative and postoperative care. The introduction of AEGIS CV will change the dynamics of patient care before and after the surgery. Preoperative planning will utilize advanced imaging and simulations to prepare for precise surgical interventions. I mean, these are all things to be thought of. So, postoperative care will benefit from detailed data analytics to monitor recovery and optimize outcomes. Surgical procedures. AEGIS CV introduces new capabilities such as performing complex surgeries with greater precision and flexibility, potentially reducing surgical time and improving recovery rates. Surgeons must adapt to relying on robotic precision and AI driven decision support, which can shift their traditional hands on approach. Operational workflow. The entire operational workflow of surgical departments will need to adapt. This includes scheduling surgeries to maximize the utilization of the robotic system, training sessions for staff, and maintenance protocols to ensure the system's availability and reliability. All right. In general, if you want to engage and educate your customer, because that's very essential, that's the only way they will say yes to your device. They will ask for training, they will ask for more information or as much of information as possible. So you need online training and simulations. You need continuous education and support. You need to give ongoing support on updates of the system, and this should also include refresher courses and troubleshooting support. You need collaborative planning, actually, because you need to work closely with hospital administrators and planners to redesign the necessary infrastructure and actually possibly to integrate the robotic system with minimal disruptions to the existing operations. And finally, you have customization and flexibility. Allow customization of the system and its integration to meet the specific needs of each hospital or clinic, acknowledging that no two healthcare facilities are exactly alike. By taking a holistic and educational approach to introducing AEGIS CV, companies can mitigate the challenges of integrating such an advanced system into traditional hospital settings, ensuring a smoother transition and a more effective utilization of this cutting edge technology. So, for a product like AEGIS CV, it isn't about simply knowing your market, but having a strategy to effectively nourish your market. Product overview. First off, the AEGIS CV boasts a hybrid approach to surgery. It seamlessly shifts between microsurgical tasks like suturing tiny blood vessels and macrosurgical tasks such as manipulating the entire heart during complex procedures. This dual capability and eliminates the need for different setups for different surgical needs. For example, the AI enhanced coronary artery bypass grafting or CABG, the AEGIS system automates the harvesting and grafting of vessels with AI precision, which not only ensures optimal blood flow dynamics but also significantly lowers the risk of graft failure. Moving on to valve surgery, the AEGIS CV offers AI guided, minimally invasive valve replacement and repairs. In terms of protecting the heart during this procedure, the AEGIS CV introduces an innovative approach to cardioplegia. It autonomously manages the heart's environment to prevent damage during surgery. For navigating the complex geography of the heart, the system uses augmented reality to provide surgeons with a real time 3D digital twin of the patient's cardiovascular system. Finally, the full spectrum telesurgery capabilities of the AEGIS CV are nothing short of revolutionary. With haptic feedback gloves and cutting edge communication technology, surgeons can now perform remote surgeries as if they were right there in the operating room, as I mentioned earlier. In summary, AEGIS CV is not just another surgical tool, it's actually a leap forward in medical technology. Financial plan. It's all about the money, right? So developing such cutting edge technology doesn't come cheap. I think we're looking at around a hefty initial investments of around 250 million. This covers everything from the intense research development phase, which is about 150 million alone, to setting up manufacturing facilities costing around 75 million. And not to forget around 25 million allocated for entering the market, which includes marketing and regulatory hurdles. And why so much? Because the R&D is crucial because we are pioneering technologies that integrate artificial intelligence with complex robotic mechanisms that can perform both delicate and major surgeries. And then setting up manufacturing. This is not just an assembly line. We will need facilities that can handle high grade medical equipment production. So that's where it gets really interesting. Our revenue streams. Once the AEGIS CV hits the market, we are projecting sales of units themselves to bring in around 200 million in the first 5 years, assuming we sell 100 units at 2 million each. Then there are service contracts. Imagine a 10% annual service fee per unit. That's a steady flow of income. And that's what your investors care about. 10% annual service fee, that's your that amounts to around 20 million a year by the end of the fifth year. And let's not overlook the training programs, with each session priced at 50,000 and around 50 sessions a year. That's an additional 2.5 million annually. So when do you break even? With the combined revenues from sales, service contracts, and training, we are targeting to cover our initial investment and start turning a profit within the first 5 years. To put it simply, we need to sell around 167 units to break even if we just consider unit sales. However, with the added recurring revenues from service and training, this number could get significantly lower, of course. The timeline, it's all hands on deck for the first 3 years, focus solely on development and setting up the shop. By year 4, we can start selling, and by year 5, we aim to have sold around 100 units. So there you have it. AEGIS CV isn't just a marvel of medical technology, it's a robust business model poised to revolutionize how surgeries are performing promising not only to enhance surgical outcomes, but also to deliver financial returns. It's an exciting time. Risk analysis. For the AEGIS CV, the cardiovascular focused version of AEGIS, several risk factors are important. Number one is your regulatory approvals. Navigating medical device regulations, especially for sophisticated surgical robots, involves considerable time and documentation to ensure safety and efficacy. Achieving a regulatory approval such as the FDA clearance, the CE marking, could be very, very challenging, to be honest. And then your adoption rates. The adoption rate of new surgical technologies typically depend on factors such as cost, the learning curve for surgeons, and the perceived benefits over existing methods. Hence, it's very, very important to talk directly to the users, that is, directly to the surgeons. How do you do that? Conferences. So that is why it's important to have, generally, it's important to have a surgeon or an ex surgeon on your board in your startup or your scale up or your medical device established organization. Given the advanced capabilities and potentially high costs associated with AEGIS CV, hospitals and medical institutions may be hesitant or slow to invest without clear evidence of significant improvements in patient outcomes or operational efficiency. That is why I mentioned please go where there is a demand first. So, in some countries, in some regions of the world, there is a higher demand for surgical robots than in other places where they already have their infrastructure, they already have a defined contract with their existing medical device suppliers, and they already have all the regulations and all the regulatory hurdles crossed for those devices. In some regions of the world where things are still in the developing mode, uh, your innovative and disruptive robotic surgery or surgical robot like AEGIS CV could be absolutely wonderful. It might take a while for investors to see the landscape and help you, but I would really suggest go where the demand is. Technological risks. The rapid pace of technological advancement in both medical devices and software could necessitate frequent updates to AEGIS CV to maintain its competitive edge. And so, addressing these three important things, your regulatory approvals, your adoption rate, and your technological risks, you will be able to successfully deploy and have a good market acceptance for AEGIS CV. Regulatory approvals. Let's take a deeper dive into the complex world of regulatory approvals for our high-tech AEGIS CV surgical robots, all in a laid-back, conversational manner. I will try my best not to go too technical here. FDA approval. It starts off with the FDA. If you're in the US, it starts off with the FDA, right? There are two main paths. You might go down to get your device into the hands of doctors and patients. The first one is called pre-market approval or PMA. This is the more rigorous route, usually reserved for those devices that are really pushing the envelope, just like our AEGIS CV. Devices that are critical for life-saving procedures or carry significant risks. The FDA isn't just going to take your word for it, they want extensive clinical and lab data. Think of it as the medical device equivalent of an endurance test, proves that your robot can perform under pressure and still keep patients safe. Then there is this 510 or 510K clearance. This one is a little bit daunting. It's for devices that might not be introducing groundbreaking new technology, but that's not what we are looking here. If your robot is at least safe and effective, you're actually in. It's telling the FDA, look, it's just as good as what we already have. Let's just work with it. So your CE marking in EU. Hopping over to the pond to EU, snagging a CE mark is your key to unlocking the European market. This isn't just a rubber stamp, it's a seal of approval that says that your device meets high standards for safety, efficacy, and environmental protection. To get this, you need to comply with the Medical Device Regulation or MDR. This is mostly in Europe, yes. This involves putting together a comprehensive dossier that shows your device won't cause any harm and will actually benefit patients. You've got to cover everything from clinical trials to quality control, essentially creating a biography of your device that proves it deserves to be a European star. Other international approvals. Canada. Your good old Canada has Health Canada. Imagine them as the keeper up north. They require a medical device license and they want solid proof that your device does what it promises without causing harm. You have your TGA in Australia, which is the Therapeutic Goods Administration. These folks down there under are just as strict. They need to see all your homework, clinical trials, safety assessments, everything before they let you in their backyard. Pharmaceuticals and Medical Devices Agency, PMDA, in Japan. In Japan, it's a similar story, but with a very local twist. They are particularly meticulous about how the device is made, how it performs, and the specific benefit it offers to patients in their healthcare system. Navigating this global regulatory maze isn't just about checking boxes, it's about ensuring that when the AEGIS CV finally reaches hospitals and clinics, it's not only welcomed with open arms, but also trusted to perform flawlessly in life saving surgeries. India. Well, the CDSCO, Central Drug Standard Control Organization, is the big boss where it comes to regulating medical devices in India. They are part of the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, and their main job is to keep an eye on medical devices, making sure that they are up to the mark. From 2020, back in 2018, India rolled out some new rules specifically for medical devices. These rules are pretty thorough, and it's all about ensuring that the devices don't just work well, but they're safe to use. They start by putting the devices into different buckets based on risks, from low risk, which is class A, all the way up to the high risk, which is class D. Something as sophisticated as AEGIS CV would likely land in class C or D because it, let's face it, is pretty high tech and it's got high stakes. Then, if you're making class C or D, you need a manufacturing license from the CDSCO. This isn't just a formality. They really dig into your manufacturing process and check that you're keeping up with quality and safety standards. If you're importing, you need an import license. And if you have got to prove that the device is approved back home and share any clinical data that shows it's safe for the Indian population. Yeah, India is really upping its game. So, yeah, in China, you have the NMPA. Think of the NMPA as their gatekeeper. These folks make sure that every medical device sold in China is safe and does exactly what it's supposed to. How to get approval of CDS, of NMPA? Well, number one is to classify your device from class one, which is low risk, class 2 for moderate, and class 3 for high risk. Something as complex as AEGIS CV would likely be class 3, so it's similar to India. And then you run your local clinical trials, and then you compile technical documentation where you have to put together the ultimate user manual, but way more technical, of course. And this includes all the nitty gritty details on how the device is made, what it's supposed to do, and the evidence that it is safe and effective. It's all about proving that the device isn't just good on paper, but in real life too. Of course, then you have the product testing, and before anything goes to market, it needs a test run in a certified lab. You have implementing quality management actually. And the quality management in MPA just makes sure that the manufacturer can reliably produce the device without any hiccups in quality from one unit to another. If I'm not wrong, they work on Six Sigma to Eight Sigma methodologies. Making it official, ISO and ASTM standards. For most of the countries around the world, we have ISO and we have ASTM standards. ISO standards are generally used in Europe, India, Asia, different parts of Middle East, Australia, New Zealand, and ASTM standards are generally American standards. Let's look deeper into the key standards, into these standards. So you have the ISO 13485. This is all about quality management. Think of it as the blueprint for designing, manufacturing, and delivering medical devices. It's not just about making sure that the devices work. It's also about ensuring that they are consistently well. For regulatory bodies, this standard is like a stamp of approval that it says these folks know, or this startup know, or this organization know what they are doing, and they're doing it right every time. Once again, they use the Six Sigma methodology here. ISO 14971. Now, this one is focused on risk management. It's about foreseeing what could possibly go wrong with a medical device and then planning ahead to prevent it. It's like having a detailed map of all the pitfalls in a treasure hunt so you can safely navigate around them. This standard helps manufacturers evaluate risks associated with their devices throughout the entire life cycle, ensuring that they are one step ahead. ISO 10,909. This standard is about making sure that any part of the device that gets close to or into a patient is biologically safe. It involves a whole bunch of tests to check that the device won't cause any harm or adverse reactions. It's like vetting every single material and process involved in making the device to ensure it's biocompatible and won't compromise patient health. ASTM standards. Let's talk about AST America here. ASTM F252. The standard is pretty niche. It's about testing how medical devices react in a magnetic resonance environment, basically ensuring that devices don't go haywire when they are near strong magnetic fields like those in an MRI machine. It's crucial because you want to be sure that a device won't become a projectile or malfunction when a patient undergoes an MRI. ASTM 5. This one goes hand in hand with 52 and is about how to properly label medical devices for use in magnetic resonance environments. It tells you how to mark devices so everyone knows if they are MR safe, MR conditional, or MR unsafe. It's like putting the right tags on your clothes to make sure they don't get ruined in the wash. Only in this case, it's about safety in medical settings. So there you have it, a simple breakdown of the critical standards that keep our medical devices in informatics standards. Let's break down some key informatics standards that are absolutely essential when talking about integrating and using tech in the healthcare world, especially with something as advanced as AEGIS CV surgical robot. These standards help ensure that everything works smoothly together, keeping all that vital health data flowing right where it needs to be. HL7, Health Level 7 International. Think of HL7 as the ultimate facilitator for conversation between different healthcare systems. It's like the translator at an international conference, making sure everyone, no matter what language they speak, or in this case, what system they use, they can easily understand each other. HL7 standards are all about making sure that when one system sends out a patient's health info, the receiving system understands it perfectly. This is crucial for everything from booking appointments to critical healthcare delivery. DICOM, Digital Imaging and Communications in Medicine. DICOM is super important in the world of medical imaging. Imagine every time a doctor takes an X ray, MRI, or CT scan, this standard makes sure that these images and all related information are stored and shared correctly. It's like the rules for handling photographs in digital photography, but these photos are actually super detailed images of what's going on inside your body. This standard ensures that no matter where you get scanned, the images can be viewed and understood by any medical professional anywhere. IEEE standards. And then when we have the IEEE standards, which cover a broad spectrum from software and hardware engineering to cybersecurity and interoperability in healthcare technologies, IEEE standard is your backbone for all the techie stuff that goes behind the scenes in the healthcare. These standards are making sure that the devices and systems not only work together, but also protect patient data against hacks and breaches. It's like having a really good security system in your house and making sure that everything is safe and sound. Training and safety standards. There are some critical training and safety standards that ensure medical devices and their operating environments are both safe and effective, especially in something as critical as healthcare. These standards are like the rule books that make sure everything from the equipment to the software in medical devices plays nicely and safely. First up, we have the ANSI Army ST. Think of this as the ultimate guidebook for keeping those things sterile in healthcare settings, particularly when it comes to steam sterilization. Imagine every surgical tool and piece of equipment that needs to be germ free before touching a patient. This standard lays out how to make sure that these tools are sterilized properly so they are safe to use every single time, i.e., 62302. It's all about the life cycle of medical device software. This standard ensures that the software controlling the medical device is developed and maintained with safety as the top priority. IEC 60601. This is focused on general requirements for the safety and performance of medical electrical equipment. This one is quite a big one. It sets the baseline for what's considered safe in terms of electrical operations in medical devices. IEC 62366, which deals with the usability of medical devices. It's all about making sure that medical devices are just functional, but are also user friendly. This standard focuses on each how easy and safe it is for healthcare professionals to use the equipment. It's about designing devices that not only do their job, but also are intuitive and minimize the risk of errors during the use. Regulations and guidelines for clinical use. Let's unpack some of the key regulations and guidelines. You have your good clinical practices, you have your HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, and then you have your General Data Protection Regulation, and of course, medical device regulations. These regulations and guidelines are crucial for maintaining high ethical standards and protecting personal information in healthcare. Good clinical practices, they are nothing but international and ethical scientific quality standards for designing, conducting, and recording and reporting trials. Very important. Remember all these standards, regulatory hurdles that different countries have for accepting medical devices. Every one of them requires trials, right? So GCP simply makes sure that even the trials are done ethically and correctly and in good details, and they are properly documented and reported. And reporting trials that involve the participation of human subjects, that is where this particular practice comes to use. HIPAA is a big deal in the US. It stands for Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. It's all about protecting your patient's private health information. It sets the standard for how personal health details should be handled and shared by health professionals. All right. And then you have, of course, your GDPR, and most people in Europe are aware of what is GDPR. GDPR not only applies to medical devices, but for literally every single industry that uses client data or customer data. It covers all kinds of personal data. It has specific implications for medical information. GDPR sets strict guidelines on how personal data should be processed, giving individuals more control over their personal information. As explained in the introductory video, one of the perks of having me as a consultant into your organization is the implementation of a V model together with Design for Six Sigma tools for the development of a complex capital equipment like your AEGIS CV. First of all, if you have your system level concept, it is crucial to anchor our design decisions in robust market and user insights. This means not just identifying what surgeons need, but truly understanding how AEGIS CV can revolutionize cardiovascular surgeries. So you obviously have to understand the surgeries itself first. That is, you have to understand the process first, and then develop an overall system concept. We utilize Six Sigma tools like Kano analysis, your Pugue matrix, TRIZ, etc., to form a system level concept. As we move down to specifying system level requirements, here precision is the key. Each specification for AEGIS CV is defined with an eye towards compliance with international regulatory standards. Here, tools like PERT, FEA, they come into play to model stresses and forecast performance, ensuring every aspect of AEGIS CV is safe and reliable under a myriad of surgical scenarios. Next, you have, when you get into the nitty-gritty details of module and component design, this is where Design for Six Sigma really shines. Each component's design undergoes rigorous design of experiments, allowing us to explore vast design landscapes efficiently. It's like finding the perfect piece of a complex puzzle on the first try. And of course, we are proactive with our risk management using DFMEA, which helps us anticipate and mitigate potential failures before they even occur. If you need more training on how to incorporate Design for Six Sigma or a V model with the Design for Six Sigma for your application and your organization and your product, you know who to contact. Transitioning to the verification phase, our approach Our approach is thorough. Each module and component of AEGIS CV is tested against our stringent specifications. Specifications are over here. This is the manufacturing part with your suppliers, toolings, and everything. And then you have the verification part over here. So our approach is simple. We transition to the verification. Each module and component of AEGIS CV is tested against the specs over here. This isn't just about checking boxes. It's about ensuring absolute reliability using Six Sigma tools such as Gauge R&R and control charts, which help us monitor and maintain quality at every step. Finally, system integration and validation bring all these pieces together in a symphony of technology. It is here that AEGIS CV is tested in real surgical environments, simulating the pressures and demands it will face in live operations. And with each test, using tools like PERT and Control Chart, we ensure that our timeline stays on track and our quality metrics are met. The journey doesn't end at rollout, it evolves. We keep our ears to the ground, gathering feedback from the field to refine AEGIS CV continually. It's an ongoing cycle of improvement, leveraging DFS's tools to adapt and enhance, ensuring that AEGIS CV not only meets the current needs but also anticipates future challenges. In a sense, the integration of the V model with DFSS in developing AEGIS CV is a meticulous blend of foresight, precision, adaptability. These are the qualities that define the next frontier of robotic assisted cardiovascular surgeries. The next episode will talk about how to build the AEGIS CV, how to prepare a manufacturing hub for the same, and how to prepare testing, verification, and validation at various steps of the development phase. Thank you very much for listening and watching.